Hello again, and welcome to Tips and Tricks for August 2022. This month, we're going to learn how to set up MS Office 365 Modern Authentication in UnForm.
This video will show how to set up Microsoft 365's modern authentication in UnForm 10, an inbound source that uses the IMAP protocol. Doing this involves bouncing back and forth between a couple of windows, doing a lot of copying and pasting. So I've got two windows side by side here. On the left is my Azure Active Directory Admin Center, where I set up the app registration that's required. On my right is an UnForm archiving window in admin mode. I will start off, well, let me stop there. First off, you need to make sure that you are on version 10.026 or higher. We actually introduced this in 10.023, but there have been a few patches. So just make sure you're on the current release of UnForm. You also will need to know the login and password for the inbound source's email address. One thing is you're going to be logged in as an admin over on this side in your browser. So when we're adding an inbound source, or you can also edit an existing inbound source the same way, we'll need to eventually get to a point where we're logging in as the inbound source email address. So let me just set up a quick inbound source here. I'm going to do inbound. And for our IMAP server, this is going to be an outlook.com address here. And at this point, we're not going to be using a password because modern authentication does a whole different thing. But we are going to go ahead and open up this window right here, our OAuth authentication window out on unform.com. Now, this window is going to be the one where you log in using the inbound at, your email address for this inbound source. So I'm going to open that in an in private window so it doesn't conflict with my admin login for Azure over on the left. So that opens up this window. And by the way, we've got some very detailed instructions available in these links so you can follow step by step and have screenshots and so on. Now, at this point, we now need some information to proceed, and that's going to come from this app registration. So let me go ahead and enter a new registration. We'll just call it UnForm temp for the time being. There's nothing magic about that name. It's just an identifier within Azure. And this is critical. Make it a web application, and this is our redirect URI. So register this. That'll create an application. And here's some information that we're going to need to complete this process. One thing is going to be, we need this tenant ID. So I'll copy that to the clipboard. We need that to build the endpoints. So when I click this button right here, it's going to ask for that tenant ID. I'll just paste that in. And then it wants the client ID, so that is right here. I'll copy that. And the last thing it needs is a client secret. Now that's something that you generate right here. I'll create a new client secret. Again, name doesn't matter. You can make this thing last up to 24 months. And now there's a value for the client secret. I'm going to copy that, paste that right here. And now it's time to authorize. So this will have me log into the account that I'm setting up as the inbound source account. And the password, I'm copying and pasting here. So I've logged in and Microsoft's asking me to give it permission to let our server talk to this account using the modern authentication. I'll accept that. And that redirects back to our page. And this is the information that is effectively a password for UnForm to use in modern authentication. So I'm going to copy and paste, or I'm going to copy it anyways. And the next thing I want to do is we need a safe place to put this. So what we've chosen to do is have you set up a user. And password here doesn't matter. It can be anything. However, I'm going to make this an inactive user so no one can log in. And here's the key. I'm going to paste all this information that came from that authentication page into this user's notes field. And I'll save that. So now we have a user called IMAP. Back in our inbound source, I'm going to say OAuth : IMAP. So let's just do a quick show me here. So this just is telling UnForm, look up the user IMAP for the OAuth information. Let's do a quick test. Success. Okay, so I'm all done. Just click save. And from that point forward, UnForm will be using modern authentication for this inbound source.
My name is Dan Schmidt. If you have any suggestions or comments about tips and tricks, email them to dans@synergec-data.com. For UnForm Tips and Tricks, thank you very much. Hope to see you next month.